This is the complete alt army gold making guide for World of Warcraft Midnight. Some players made tens of millions of gold from alt army's last expansion, so what are we doing in Midnight to repeat that? We're going to cover both my concentration hack and regular concentration, but we're also going to have a look at tailoring cooldown bolt crafts, skinning daily kills, and alchemy transmutation as well. Tailoring cooldown bolts then. Duskweave and Dawnweave bolts in the War Within were a bit underwhelming. Each of these were used in a total of 8 crafts, and only 2 of those, the spell thread and the embellishment, were not one-time crafts, so that's not great for long-term demand. In Midnight, the Sunfire Silk and Arcanaweave bolts are used in almost 30 crafts each, well over 3 times as many. We also have spell thread and embellishments like before, but also some enchants as well, so we have more crafts and more crafts that have repeated demand. On paper, it definitely looks like we have much more potential demand for cooldown tailoring bolts this expansion. In addition to the tailoring cooldown bolts, you're also doubling this up with tailoring concentration as well, so you're getting a bit of a 2 for 1 here. This is all great, looks a lot better than the War Within at least, but it's not what I find the most interesting with these tailoring bolts in Midnight. We also have several decor and transmog recipes using these bolts. Now at the start of Midnight, these are going to be like kinda meh, who cares? But transmog and decor are evergreen crafts. There will always be demand for these. What we have then is we have a built-in long-term evergreen use for Midnight tailoring cooldown bolts. That to me is really cool. Well after Midnight, we'll still be making these and still be making gold from them. Overall then we have a better immediate demand with a lot more general uses for the bolts, but then we have this built-in long-term demand as well, and that's what just I found really interesting. So for transmutes, we have the Wondrous Synergist. This is a cooldown based craft, so once again it's something that is ideal for alt armors. The Wondrous Synergist itself is used in some decor and the Alchemy crafted epic trinket. But the main thing that's going to be soaking up the vast majority of these crafts is that the 4 of these that you need to put in the cauldrons for both flasks and potions. You get 4 charges and it's just over 8 hours per charge cooldown. Basically then you can craft about 3 of these every 24 hours or so. So an Alchemy Transmute character can produce slightly less than the amount of Wondrous Synergist needed for a cauldron every day. The flask cauldrons will make some solid demand. A potion cauldron only produces 80 potions, so I imagine that a raid group using these can get through quite a lot of these in a single raid night. So it definitely looks like there's some demand here. You also have your alchemy concentration here as well. The best use is probably on the Wondrous Synergist themselves. Now in theory it's not ideal buying rank 2 Wondrous Synergist for cauldron crafting. You should buy a rank 1 and use your concentration on the cauldron craft, as it needs a ton of vials as well. In practice, this is WoW and people would just do whatever, even if it's more expensive. That being said, guilds can only produce so many cauldrons with concentration as well. So if they are needing to mass produce, say they're using a lot of the potions, then they'll need to use the rank 2s because they won't have concentration just to mass produce rank 2 potion cauldrons. Overall then, this is looking interesting, but you do need to be logging in every 1 to 2 days, so it is a bit more time intensive. So skinning then. In Midnight, we have the continuation of the daily skinning farms. These are farms by which we have a particular skinning knowledge setup. You are able to summon, kill, and skin unique creatures in Midnight, and these have a chance to drop majestic items. So we have a Majestic Claw, Majestic Fin, and Majestic Hide. These majestic items are used in pretty much all epic profession gear and epic gear in Midnight. In addition to that, they're also used in some enchants and a few other bits as well. It looks like the demand for these could be higher than in any previous expansion that we've had before. It's also interesting that we've got 3 of these on release and not 1 like we previously had. So it is quite interesting. Because these are a daily lockout, these cannot just be Zerg farmed, which is where the alt army element of this comes in. Now there are 5 creatures we can summon across the 4 zones. I'm not going to go into crazy amount of details here, as I have a full video on locations and the spec generally, but if you wanted to skin all of the potential majestic drops, then there is quite a bit of travel time involved, not amazingly efficient for an alt army setup. Alternatively, you could just skin the Grand Beast daily, as he has the highest drop rates. Another issue is because these characters are out of town, alt army is somewhat limited in what else you can do with your second profession. Seems like it would be mostly paired with enchanting concentration, as you can use that out of town. Either way, I think this is a pretty solid setup for alt army characters, but the issue here is it's probably the thing on the list that takes the most time to set up, and it is definitely the most time to maintain. Remember, this is a daily kill, so you're doing this every day. The time involved here is really going to add up. You're probably approaching an order of magnitude more than the basic concentration army setup or equivalent. Time intensive, even if you're just killing the Grand Beast every day, but it looks solid. Before we talk about concentration then, just a quick advert for the Gold Making Community Discord. Lots of free midnight profession guides hosted on there. If that's helpful to you, a link to join is in the description below. Concentration is dramatically different in this expansion. With only 2 ranks of materials and most crafts, this has a dramatic effect on how easy it is to produce concentration crafters. Most professions can run an effective concentration crafter at 25 profession skill, and most can be doing something below 10 skill. That combined with the fact that Legion Remix made alts really easy to produce, then we have potentially more alts and easier setup. All that being said, it's very hard for concentration to never be a profit. Yes, it will be less effective than last expansion, but it should still be a solid goal maker. I think picking up recipes that come from vendors and cost currency or drops that need to be farmed will serve you well. Profits last longer because less concentration characters will have these. This is especially true in a market where you have a lot more competition. Trainer and knowledge recipes are just too easy to get. This is especially true with the 7000 concentration spec that utterly destroys any concentration recipe that comes from knowledge. Basically, this concentration sets up almost every profession, uses its knowledge to unlock recipes. When you drop a profession, you keep the knowledge. When you pick it back up again, you still have that recipe and you can use your concentration on it, even at 1 profession skill. Instantly pick up the profession, use concentration, drop it, rinse and repeat across many professions, come back in 4 days, and the concentration is full again on every single profession. What's the best concentration profession? Well, a single profession slot can be used to cycle through most professions and craft something with concentration. That's pretty crazy. This is great, but it's a lot of work per character and a lot of maintenance per character. Great if you have enough alts, but for most of us, that's not an issue anymore. This is just something that's really effective if somebody has a very limited number of alts they're able to use. You can use concentration in this matter or just a normal setup like from last expansion. Either way, this is probably going to be most people's go-to method for gold making with alt armies, and that's probably warranted, but we've seen some other good options in this list as well. Conclusion then is basically that tailoring cooldown bolts look like they will have more demand in the war within than they've had in previous expansions, but we also have this interesting long-term gold making added in as well. Alchemy transmute is another option, something a bit different, lower output, higher upkeep, but this goes into cauldrons, so surely these are going to be useful for the whole expansion. Majestic skinning stuff looks good, but the time involved here in maintenance looks scary. Be careful about setting up too many of these up and burning out and then making no gold when you can't maintain it. Concentration will be solid. I don't think it will be as good as it was in the war within, but it's hard for it not to be at some sort of profit. The 7000 concentration build is niche, but it's interesting from a gold making perspective. I have guide videos for the cloth cooldowns, alchemy transmutes, majestic skinning, all the individual concentration builds across all the professions, and the 7000 concentration video as well. All of those are linked in the description below if you want to check any of those out. If this video was helpful, then please throw it a like and let me know in the comments below which of these you're going to be using in Midnight.